Hey, this is Regina White Favors with Overcoming Life Tired Setback. So, the topic today is you need three times the cost for any business venture. This particular discussion really derives from, let's see, when I was trying to become a government contractor. This is somewhere, I think, in somewhere between 2010 and 2012. And I really want to say between 2011 and 2012. What happened was, and I've noted this on various videos. What happened was, I was so busy trying to make it. 2006 began my process in terms of correction because of disobedience that I did in 2000. And then the full correction happened between '08 and 2013. So I didn't have a job. I was doing freelance work. I had lost my place. Um, I was living at my mother's house, and then there were issues there, and I had to go back and forth to shelters. So I was, I think, in multiple shelters during that time span. And then I was able to return to work in 2013. So I was trying to make it. I was trying to make whatever money. It was during the financial crisis, and I was trying to make whatever money I could. And so somehow I got on this website. I mean the government's website to become a government contractor. So I signed up for everything I needed to sign up for at that time. And so then you begin to bid on contracts, right? You begin to bid on um, contracts you know you can do or you feel you can do. And so I was able to actually get a contract. I can't remember if it's with the Navy or the Air Force, and it was for to supply books. So here it is. I'm trying to be some business person, and feel fulfill the contract. Well, I didn't have the funds to fulfill the contract, so I went the loan route, and it wasn't a traditional loan. It was like accounts payable financing or something like that. So it wasn't going to be for the whole contract. So that meant that I didn't have enough money to pay for the contract. And when you get your money back from the client, uh, that's usually, you know 45 to 90 days, right? And so then that money was actually going to be directly going back to the loan person because it's accounts receivables financing. So that meant that I wasn't going to make a profit at all, and I was actually going to owe more money. Well, I failed with that particular government contract because, first of all, I didn't have the financial capacity and capability to fund the venture myself. It's in some ways there's nothing wrong with going to use the contract as as leverage, as an asset, right, to get a loan. But you also need to have the money yourself, right? And so I failed with that contract. They ended up having to terminate it for cause. And then I still have like an outstanding business loan with that accounts receivable company, so that's still outstanding, which I'm in a process of negotiating. And so what I learned from that process, I collapsed in my understanding about what I was doing. I don't know if that's the right word, collapsed, but I know what it is. I shut down. I didn't know how to solve the problem. I didn't know how to address the problem. So I ignored emails from the government contractor. I ignored emails from the accounts receivable finance company, and I just didn't know how to do it. So I got into something before my time, and I got into something not having the knowledge. Just because you can go online and read about government contracting and get some Google results on it or something like that, does not mean that you understand what's really going on. Just because I can read a contract does not mean that I understand the implications of the contract. at that time. I do now, but I didn't at that time. And so that's my first business failure. My first true business failure. And I call it a business failure because I think at the time I did go and get a business license um, um, while I was in Dallas. And so if you're just trying something out and it's an option, that's not always a failure. But if you set a goal to complete something, and I struggle to endure it. The thing about goal setting, it is set a goal, endure the goal, complete the goal. I didn't complete the goal, and nor did I really endure the goal. I set the goal. There was some enthusiasm and zeal. Oh, I got my first contract, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I failed. And so, what I learned from that particular process was that you need three times the cost for any business venture. Meaning that if your costs are $1,000, you need three times that cost in the bank. You also need to, of course, keep a job because that brings in stable income, right? And you can leverage that when you go to get a business grant or a business loan. But three times the cost is going to make sure that you can cover your individual personal costs, your everyday shelter types of costs, the cost of the project, and any assistance or anything that may come up as a result of trying to fulfill the contract. I'm still in no way near ready to return to that area of business, but I do feel like later in some area of my life, I'm going to have to return to it so I can uh, complete it. I'm not going to be able to complete that contract, but because you have a failure in life, in the same way that you didn't pass a test or you didn't pass a class, right? One semester, you're going to have to return to take that test over again so that you can learn what you need to learn and pass. And that's what I feel like later that's going to end up happening. I don't know when that's going to happen, but that's a failed test. That's an F on my record that that needs to still be addressed. But what I want you to take from this more than anything is that you need three times the cost for any business venture that you're interested in doing. A lot of times, if you have the job, I feel like in some ways the job will satisfy that because at least you have stable income coming in. So if you separate $1,000 because that's the cost of the business venture, $1,000, well, you're still getting a paycheck that's probably $3,000 a month or 4,000 or 5,000 or 6,000. So to me, that satisfies the three times the cost, right? If you're keeping a job. But if you don't have a job and you're going at this thing independent and you're wanting to become an entrepreneur, etc., then you need to have leverageable assets. You need to have some sort of investment products um, that will fulfill that. Like if it was three times the cost, you take $3,000 and you put it into some sort of investment product, right? So that if something happens, you can pull from that whenever it becomes available. There there will be tax consequences, of course, but you'll have it. So again, if your business venture is going to be 3,000, I mean 1,000, 3,000, 4,000, it doesn't matter what the amount is, whatever the costs are, and you got to know what those total costs are. To me, this is what I learned. You need three times the cost. You need three times the cost for any business venture. And sometimes, a lot of times, you're going to be spending money to get business, right? But if you keep the job can satisfy the three times the cost aspect of this. It can satisfy that. But if you don't have that, you're going to run the risk of losing your home, becoming bankrupt, um, messing up relationships, right? Messing up relationships with the bank, especially if you have leveraged your home. It's gonna be a mess, right? But if you have that, there's a confidence that you can have that you can move a lot, um, much more stable and feasible. So that's what I learned from that particular process with the government contract. And I will have to repeat that process. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I will have to repeat that process. So this is overcoming life type setback. You need 3 times the cost for any business venture. Um, Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for more videos. Also visit reginawhitefavors.com for tips and resources. Thank you very much for listening.